Ocean Pines is a vibrant residential community nestled on Maryland's eastern shore. With over 9 miles of waterfront property, amenities like an 18-hole championship golf course and a public yacht club, and a rich history dating back to 1968. Of course, if you live here, you probably know most of that. And if you don't, it's almost all apparent from your first visit. Each week on the Pines Cast, we work to bring out the ocean pines that might be less apparent. We celebrate the region, the amenities, and, most of all, the people who make and keep Ocean Pines a special place to live. Welcome to the Pines Cast, your source of news and insights about Ocean Pines and the official podcast of the Ocean Pines Association. In this episode, we're speaking with aquatics manager Steve Yarzinsky. He is a career lifeguard and is responsible for a lot of the great programs going on this summer. We talk about how he came to live in Ocean Pines and his time discovering that lifeguarding was what he wanted to do professionally. We also have a chance to talk a little bit about what that means, because although we don't think of lifeguarding as a calling, it absolutely can be. Anyway, there is no point in me continuing to go on about this. Let's talk to Steve Yarzinsky. So you are a staple lifeguard at the Aquatics Center, but before we get into that, let's get you to Ocean Pines. How did you end up coming to Ocean Pines?
Okay, well, I first moved to the area in 1997. That was when I moved into Ocean Pines, but I had been, like a lot of young people, I had my share of summer jobs in Ocean City. My parents had retired here, and I was visiting them that year. And during a visit, somebody offered me a job, and I stuck. Yeah, never looked back.
And what was the job? What was kind of your day job before this?
Well, I have a Bachelor of Fine Arts degree, so I worked in graphics for many years. My first job here was doing advertising design for a real estate company in Ocean City.
And so how do you get from there to lifeguarding?
Well, that's a great question. It was 2011. The company I had been working for, not by then I had changed companies several times, but my current job at that time, they went out of business. They sold out, gave me like a severance pay, and I was just kind of like cruising on that in the springtime. And I said, I really need to find a job for the summer, but I'm not really eager to get back into graphics right now. I'm feeling kind of burned out. I had been doing it for 15 years by that time. And my housemate at the time says, why don't you become a lifeguard? Because you're fit, Steve. You like to work out, and, that'll give you plenty of time to work on your personal training, which I was also doing. And I said, yeah, it sounds like a great idea. It was already it was getting close to June, and all the pools wanted you to have a lifeguard certification. And I was like, there's no place nearby doing that in time for me to start working. But the Ocean City's Beach Patrol, they kept advertising saying, you don't need to have any training at all. We'll pay you to train you. All you got to do is pass this physical test. I said, I could do that. Well, I did, barely, but I
yeah, that is a hardcore. I've covered that before. That is a for real, one step below boot camp kind of physical.
Yeah, it's the real
requirements.
Thing. It's the real thing, and I just threw myself into it. I gave myself about a week 2 weeks to train specifically for that. Fortunately, I had been doing other things, and I got through it. I think 60 people showed up, and they kept 12 of us, and I got in, and it was supposed to be a summer job, but as soon as I finished that day, I was like, what did I get myself into? Because it just takes over your whole life. And I realized that lifeguarding was something that I really needed and that I was missing. And I didn't know that. I never looked at emergency services as a career path. But when I was doing it, I said, I've got to find a way to make this a full-time life. And it took me another 10 years to fully do that, but yeah, I did it. Now this is all I do is work in
It's
aquatics.
it's crazy because when you think of a calling,
Yeah.
lifeguard isn't one of the things that leaps to mind. But as someone who's interviewed, I don't know, a million career
Yeah.
lifeguards over
Mhm.
his own career, it is something that once you get your teeth into it, it really has a draw.
It
What do you
does.
think it is? Is there anything particular? Is there a range of things? Are there a range of things?
Well, we can get into why I love, and I truly
Please.
love working for the Ocean Pines pools. But what drove me to a lifeguarding before I ever came to the pools, because I was an ocean lifeguard first, was the captain of our beach patrol. He said it really the best was the word. He used the word significance, and I don't mean like significance like I'm above everybody around me. It's just like the idea that at the end of the day, you've done something that made a difference, and and we all do. I truly believe we all do make a difference, but you can't feel it a lot of the time.
Yeah.
So, lifeguarding gives you a chance, maybe not every day, but definitely more often than my graphics job ever did, to touch someone's life and know that, in a big way or a small way, they really do mean it when they say thank you, or even if they don't know who you are, you did something that you can feel good about.
And practically speaking, again, this is from my own coverage of Ocean City's lifeguarding. It's every week there's at least one person who's alive who wouldn't have been otherwise.
Yeah, that's
It's not
true.
it's not hyperbole.
That's absolutely correct. And I that was a feeling that was, I mean, I had never felt anything like that. I could go home at the end of the day saying, that person truly would. I don't want. I try to temper it and say like,
Yeah.
okay, if it wasn't for me, they would no. If it wasn't for the beach patrol, and I happened to be part of that beach patrol, it would have been a different lifeguard maybe. But the fact is that when people die in Ocean City's ocean, it's after hours. It's when the lifeguards aren't there. That says a lot.
Yeah, I recall a number, and I want to throw it at you. It was something like 200 saves a week,
Yeah,
something
that's pretty
absurd.
typical. Yeah, it's pretty typical. My station was in the boardwalk, which is a very active
Ugh.
area, as you can imagine. If you've ever been there, I think I had maybe 50 rescues in my first summer, and then that was a low number, and then after that it was more. It's you get moving, yeah, and it's not all. You have your slow weeks in early August, but it's very busy in June, very busy towards the end when the weather gets rough. You could be making many saves a day, and then you could have a week where you don't do a whole lot. But even on those slow weeks, you're watching out for the heat behind you. So
Mm,
it's constant. People being affected by the heat was what I mean. Under
right.
their umbrellas. So yeah, it's very stimulating. Yeah, it's very stimulating. There's always something you got to be paying attention to.
Excellent.
Mhm.
And so when did you get the opportunity to go full time and to come to Ocean Pines?
Okay. Well, it was my dream to get back to make it something full time. I did go and have a daughter, and got married, and or reverse that order actually.
Mhm.
But so I did a bit of the adult life, and kept up my swimming, kept up my training, and truly every time I worked out, I said I got to be ready to go back to being a lifeguard because that's where I'm heading. I left the area for a few years. I came back and I said, "This is it. I'm going straight back to the beach patrol." And it was the fall, and so I was in another similar situation, because graphics is not necessarily art is not a stable career.
Right.
You have I was riding high, and then you got your low periods, and you're riding high again. And I walked into the pool because I knew I needed an extra a side job, and I said, "Well, I wonder if they need lifeguards." So I walked in then to the aquatics director the one prior to Michelle, and I said, "I used to be on the beach patrol. Do you happen to need any lifeguards?" And she said, I don't know what everybody's reaction, what they got, but mine was very welcoming. She sat me down for an interview right away. During the interview, I got out my cell phone because we have cell phones by that time, smartphones, I mean, and I found a Red Cross certification class. And I said, "Well, here's one next week. If I sign up for this and pay for it, can I come to work with you?" She says, "Yeah, you can come to work with us, come, go and do it, and I'll have you in the system. You can start working. I was extremely grateful for that. It was at a rough period in my life, financially, and so that she welcomed me in very readily. I was appreciative of that, and also the hunger I had to put on the red trunks and the whistle. So when I came to work, I was ready to, I treated it like I was on the beach patrol. Like, pool is a little bit different. It's a lot more customer service oriented, a lot more people interaction. But when I first showed up, I treated it like I was in boot camp again,
Right.
making sure I was doing my laps and practicing my skills all during my breaks. And I think that was recognized. But I was truly doing it for myself, but I think it was recognized by
That you were
everybody I worked
putting
with.
in the
Yeah.
time.
Yeah.
How did it evolve into doing more than just lifeguarding?
Well,
Or is that always part of it? Is everyone there who's a lifeguard doing something else as well?
no, most of them are the
Part-timers.
majority of our part-time employees, and they are lifeguards, and that's truly enough. I mean, for
Yeah.
your 20 to 30 hours a week, that is enough responsibility. But when I went to get that Red Cross certification, I was so impressed with the training that was there that they gave. I happened to have to go up to I think it was in Pasadena or one of those YMCA's up towards Baltimore. I'm not sure which one it was. But the company that did the training, a company called Certified, who's not in business anymore, sadly, that's all they did was independent lifeguard training. And I was like, wow, you guys train us, are doing a really good job of training. When I finished that, I contacted the owner of the company and said, I'd like to teach for you because
Wow.
I would like to just be more involved in what you're doing. I want to train people the way you trained me. And he happened to have seen me during my class, and he said, absolutely. We're doing an instructor training in a month or two ahead of when I was talking to him. He says, why don't you come in? And we made a deal where he trained me and if I promised to work for him. So that's what I did. So I did that for about a year. I would work at the pool here in Ocean Pines, part-time at that time. I was only part-time. I was the guy who you knew if somebody needed to call out, Steve was going to fill it in.
Right.
I took all my hours plus yours if I could get them.
Right.
And then on weekends, I would drive across the bridge to one of the many YMCA's because they had classes every single weekend, and I would teach the Red Cross lifeguard certification class. I did every weekend for maybe a year, and it was exhausting because I'd have to spend because it's a 2-day class, but they put me up in a hotel, and I was just invested. And I'd come back to Ocean Pines Monday morning, my voice would be gone, just hoarse from yelling all weekend, But I didn't care. I was like, yes, let's just keep doing this. This could be. At that point, I had taken my graphics and minimized it as much as I could as freelance work, and would just take every opportunity I could to be in the water or around the water. And again, I think that got recognized as well. So I didn't know whether I was going to end up awarded the full-time position here or not, but I made it known that I was more than willing, because at that point I was getting very invested in pool guarding. I still, even to this day, I still part-time lifeguard on the beach on Assateague Island, but pool has obviously become my home.
So a couple things. As an instructor and as a student, are there any natural, I guess, barriers? Like, what is the one thing everyone has trouble with? Or what is the one thing that all instructors have trouble conveying, or both, if there are different things?
Okay, so, I now certify and train all of our lifeguards here in Ocean Pines. So I just did a class 2 weeks ago, I'd say. We did it over 3 days. And what I try to impress on them is the teamwork aspect of it. Lifeguarding is a team sport, okay? There's the vision of the lifeguard up on the stand. He's all shiny and oily, and he's got his sunglasses on, and he's like the picture, but that's not the reality. The reality is it's a team of people. And in the training class, to exit the class, you have to demonstrate. There's some practical skills testing that goes on, and one of them is the team response, where you're working with 5 people, and everybody has to demonstrate their ability to work together in the various roles. And I say to people, it's a team sport. You've got people who are really good with information. They're really good with facts and numbers, and they can keep track of procedures and things like that. You've got people who are really strong swimmers or who can lift things, but you need all of them. So the thing to ask, like, what do people struggle with? They struggle with all of it, but not in equal amounts.
Right.
And we need all of those people. We need all of those strengths. We need them all to meet the minimum. And then if you're beyond that to a maximum, then that's great. That's we want you. We want you to be confident and take charge of that role, because we should all be confident in each other's basic training, but we all have our strengths, and we try to reinforce those as much as possible.
Oh, that's a fascinating take. Hey there, listeners. Are you in the Ocean Pines area and looking for a pharmacy that goes above and beyond? Look no further than Tidal Health Home Scripts. Open 6 days a week, our knowledgeable pharmacists are ready to fill your prescriptions in just minutes. Plus, we offer free home delivery in the Ocean Pines area and have a super convenient drive-through window. Need over-the-counter items? We've got a large selection. And with our monthly sales, you'll find everything you need at great prices. Conveniently located at the North Gate of Ocean Pines, Tidal Health Home Scripts is open Monday through Friday from 8 a.m. to 6 p.m. and on Saturdays from 9 a.m. to 3 p.m. To fill a prescription or arrange for a free home delivery, give us a call at 410-543-4769. That's 410-543-4769. Remember, that's Tidal Health Home Scripts, your trusted pharmacy partner. I want to not quickly, but I want to move on to your time at Ocean Pines. So when did you come on full time, and what was that like?
That was May 1st, 2024. One of the happiest days of this quarter of my life. That was a big deal. Now, we had been discussing it for months prior, when Michelle came on.
And Michelle
Michelle Hitchens, our esteemed aquatics director here in Ocean Pines. Yes, she is the mastermind. She is the inspiration and the guiding force, because we've got kids from 15 years old to 60 years old, all living the dream of lifeguarding, and she somehow holds it all together and keeps us on track. I cannot commend her enough, and I'm very proud to be working under her. So when she took over the role, I went straight to her and said, Michelle, you know who I am. We didn't really work together too much before that, but we knew who each other were. And I said, it wasn't announced yet that she was going to be the director, but I said, you've got all the skills. It's going to be you, and it should be you. I want to help you as much as I can because I love lifeguarding. And we just sort of, our friendship was based on that, on really wanting what's best for the pool. So, it didn't happen immediately. She came on in October, November, and it wasn't until the following May that she had even the ability to make me full time. And so between those two periods, we just sort of cooperated as much as we could. I contributed as much as I could in my part-time capacity, and we just discussed ways to things that could be done with the pool, like the junior lifeguarding, like the parties. We brought back a lot of things that were missing since COVID, like our holiday parties and such. I'm going to segue here. When we do those holiday parties, I'm generally the MC and the one with the microphone and the one in the costume in front of everybody talking. So people naturally think it's, oh, well, he represents the pool, and I do represent it. But I'm just the guy. I'm just the actor on the stage. Michelle runs the whole show. She's back there building the sets, writing the scripts, and bringing in the audience. So I make a lot of noise, but I'm not the I'm not truly the star. I'm just one of the players.
Kind of along those lines, because there's a price to being the face,
Yeah,
you know?
it's true. I faced it. It's hard because people recognize me. It's like you say, when if you get up there, if you get up on that soapbox and it's hard. Even after you get down, you can't hide.
Yeah.
So I was at the yacht club this past Saturday just to hear the music because it was a great musician. I had my daughter with me, and we were dancing and relaxing, and most, don't get me wrong, Ocean Pines is a great place, and everybody's very friendly. But I did get my fair share of people wanting to, I see you're dancing there, but let me ask you, can I just talk to you about the programs, the fitness programs at this pool? Because I really think it should be this way or that way. And I'm like, it's Saturday. It's 8 p.m. on Saturday,
But when you're the face, you're on duty.
Yeah. Yeah.
And
So,
that brings me to the other thing that I saw, because I haven't covered Ocean Pines in a long time. And
mhm.
when I came to this event, it was the first time that I'd been back on the property in several years, I think. And I saw a sign for the junior lifeguard program, which
Yes.
I didn't even know you had in the beginning. I know that Ocean City had a really rigorous one. And now you say that this is one of the things, as you just mentioned, that came back after COVID. But can you tell me about putting that together and what that looks like and why it's valuable to the kids of Ocean Pines?
We've got a couple of points we like reinforce with the participants. I don't like to say kids, which is the teamwork,
Hmm.
the fitness aspect of it, and the training them with a bit of assertiveness. Okay. So what I find with the young people who sign up for it, because it's ages 7 to 13,
Hmm.
is they're almost, some are more outgoing than others, but they're almost universally hesitant to approach a stranger, or especially an adult stranger, with a request, or in our cases, we call them requests. We request compliance. We don't demand it, because we're not police officers,
Right.
right? So, but we look for voluntary compliance, and it's intimidating. It's intimidating for the adults in our classes too. In the beginning, everybody's very quiet with their voice, and they kind of, they don't want to be wrong or overstep their boundary. But we train them to be confident in what they do know, and when they do know it, to take it out there and make sure they communicate clearly. And so that's kind of rewarding. But that's just one of the things that the kids get out of the junior lifeguarding. But essentially, when you become a junior lifeguard, you will get what I call your passport. It's a little booklet with your name on it and when you signed up, and it has a checklist of all the skills that you have the opportunity to learn. You can't learn them all in a day or even 3 days, but the idea is you come back and participate in several of our sessions,
Ah,
and you get to punch off like your cards, because we cover different topics each time. And truly, by the end of it, these people have gone through the same, virtually all the skills of the basic adult lifeguard certification. Of course, we make games out of it. They still get the same training,
right.
but let's say it's a water rescue, right? Like a water rescue where we need to put somebody on a backboard, right, and pull them out of the water. That's pretty advanced. That's a pretty advanced skill set. But we scale it for their strength and their size, of course, and safety, number one. But also we make a game out of it. So they learn the basics, they learn how to do these things safely, and then we say, okay, we're gonna, you're gonna have a game now where you're gonna put the person's gonna float on the board on the surface of the water, totally safe. You got 2 people on each side, and now you're gonna race them to the other end of the pool. Like, you're never gonna do that in lifeguarding, but
Right.
it teaches them the skills of swimming, treading water, keeping the person, balanced, and they have a good time with it. We do that with all the skills. We try to make a little contest / game out of it.
And so this punch card, is this usually filled up in one season, or is this over the course of several
Absolutely,
seasons?
you could no, yeah. If you're an ambitious junior lifeguard, you can absolutely fill it up in one over the course of a season. Yeah. But you have to the end of the year. Otherwise, you start over with a new punch card.
That was I guess essentially my question. It wasn't a year to year thing. The idea is you want to get it done in 1 year. And
Well, you could, and even with adult lifeguarding, your certification is only good for 2 years, and you got to go get your training again. And the reason is we just don't use our skills often enough to keep them sharp. So you're required to go and refresh your training, and it's the same concept for the juniors. I've taught it to you, but that's just the beginning. You're going to come back and help me teach the other juniors. That kind of a
And again, that's also kind of like the difference between the ocean and the pool, where the pool you're preventing rescues more than you're making them.
Yes, very much so.
And you can, because it's a more controlled environment.
It is a more controlled. It doesn't feel like it sometimes, but yeah, it's mechanically speaking, yes, you've got fences and controlling the water is contained. It's not the wild that the beach truly is.
We're not quite coming up against it, but I do want to ask you about some of the other things you may be looking forward to for the upcoming summer programs at the Aquatic Center.
Yeah, well, I would encourage anybody, ages 7 to 13 to get in touch with the pool. We've got the junior lifeguarding. That's going to start up every week, starting July 8th, I believe, is the first Tuesday. We're going to do Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursdays. And I do want to mention that after you've gone through your initial training, which everybody gets for the junior lifeguards, you're then invited for the rest of the year to assist as a lifeguard, help us watch the pool during all of our special events. So you will be, we've got a junior lifeguard paired next to a professional lifeguard. So you got the taller one with the red tube, and you got the junior one with the yellow tube. But they're both watching the water, and the only difference is when the yellow junior blows their whistle, it's the red one who jumps in to help somebody. But they're absolutely participating in enforcing the rules and keeping people safe, and it's super exciting for them to do that. We've got a couple of the really enthusiastic ones who never miss their chance to come and be a lifeguard for the day, and that goes on beyond just the training. That's in addition to our the exercise days. So other things to remember for the summer, swim lessons, I'm part of that. Fitness classes, I'm part of that.
Can I tell you my fitness joke?
Yeah.
Please?
Yeah, please.
I can't help myself. I'm going to become one of these guys that people just start walking away from. So I am a bigger guy, and I every 6 months or so I quit going to water aerobics, and then every 7 months so I go back. It's just a thing. And so my joke for water aerobics is, the thing I love about water aerobics is I keep getting older, but the girls all stay the same age.
And that's the truth. Well, you ought to, when you're in my area, I encourage you and everybody listening to look for Steve's.
It's great.
Look for Steve's class. Yeah,
can't say enough about it.
Yeah, it's rewarding in more ways than one. I've started bringing a dance component into water aerobics, and there's been a lot of interest. Michelle's probably going to say I'm getting a little ahead of myself here, but I can't help promoting the dance fitness, which is going to become an official part of our program in the future. And in the meantime, we're looking forward to doing a couple of events over the summer. So please keep an eye on the Facebook page for some of our as yet unannounced exhibition dance fitness events. We're going to try to do those in the outside pool, which should be very, very entertaining.
That's
to watch, if not participate in.
Excellent. And I will put a link to that in the show notes. So if you're driving, you can just come back to the show notes and find all of those links. And that is all I have for you, unless you have something else for me. Is there something I should have asked and didn't, or something you thought you'd get the opportunity to say, but I didn't provide it?
No, I thought this was great. I really do appreciate the chance to come in and talk a bit, because lifeguarding does mean quite a lot to me. The only thing I would say that I don't think I got into was I truly love being in Ocean Pines. And although I started it as a beach guard and have since moved into the pools, what I've found is a genuine, just like I said, I felt that sense of reward when I got into lifeguarding originally. Since coming to Ocean Pines, the reward has been the people and being a lot more socially involved and not just the guy behind the sunglasses on the stand, but now interacting with people. And that's brought a whole new level of meaning and reward to my life. So I'm happy to be here. Thanks for letting me talk about it.
Excellent. Well, thank you for sharing your story, and hope to talk to you again soon.
Yeah, that'd be great, Tony. Thanks so much.
The Pines Cast is an Ocean Pines Association production. It was written and edited by me, Tony Russo, executive producer, Linda Martin. Please feel free to reach out to me with any questions or interesting stories about the show, things you think I should cover, things you wish I didn't cover. I love getting feedback from you, and if you'd like to have me share it on the podcast, just let me know in the note and I will share it. If you prefer that I don't and just want me to know for myself, that's fine with me. Either way, I will catch you next time on the Pines Cast.